Actually, I was in Mexico at the time. This is 1973. And I got a call from Andrei Serban in Bordeaux. And he was doing Elektra as part of the Jean-Louis Barrault, I think, was running that. And then we performed Elektra in Bordeaux at a place called the Entrepôt-Launay. And then we took it from there to Paris on the part of the Jean-Louis Barrault, and we performed it at the Sainte-Chapelle. And that was a beautiful space, great. And that was in the late fall of 1973. I didn't go with them to Venice. In Italy, I worked with them, in 1972 at the Spoleto Festival. And then in 1977, we did some shows in Taormina, in Sicily, just north of Catania. You probably know where it is. But that was As You Like It. And that was on a tour. I don't think it was part of a festival. I think it was just, I don't know how it was set up, but we performed in Taormina, and then we took it to Iran and to Shiraz in Iran. And I think that was part of a festival. And that was interesting. And then we came back to Taormina and did the Trilogy, Medea, Elektra, and the Trojan Women. In 1972, La Mama actually had two shows that were being done at the Spoleto Festival. One was Medea, which I was in, and another one was Camilla. And that was directed by Wilfred Leach, yeah. But as far as other companies, no, I don't think there was a lot of interaction. Everybody was busy just, I think, visiting the place and traveling around and seeing as much as they could and, doing the shows. Ellen, I think, I'll tell you kind of a funny story, because back in 1972, during the Spoleto Festival, I think Menotti chose Spoleto for the festival for two reasons. One, there were lots of theaters here. And is going back to ancient Roman times. And also because it's on a main train line from Rome, so it's easy to get to. And I think that's why he chose Spoleto. But one thing that Spoleto didn't have a lot of back in 1972 was hotels. So where were they going to put all of these actors and everything? Well, there was a woman who was Giancarlo Menotti's assistant. Her name was Lida Gialloretti. And her job was to basically go around to different places and say, okay, do you have extra rooms? Can you, we'll pay you to put up actors or musicians or dancers or whoever. And so I remember there were three of us in the company and we stayed at an apartment. I think the woman had moved the three children out to their grandmother's house for the festival so she could make some money renting. And then Ellen ended up buying an apartment here in Spoleto. And this is back in the 1970s. And again, with the help of Lida Gialloretti, the same woman who was helping us all find spaces. Ellen was much more connected with the Spoleto Festival, I think, than any other of the places that we visited and any other shows and groups. And La Mama today is a part of the Spoleto Festival. Ellen got a MacArthur Foundation grant, which you don't apply for. They just, give it to you because of all the great work that you've done. And she got, I think it was about $300,000 tax-free. And what she did with that is she bought old convent, an old ruined convent outside Spoleto, not far from where I lived. And that she was going to hold summer programs there, workshops for actors, musicians, dancers, puppeteers, anybody involved in the performing arts. And she did that every year until, but she died, I think, in 2009, I think she died. But the people who are running La Mama now have continued that tradition, and so every summer they do workshops and shows here as part of the festival. She loved it here. She just, so many people do. They come to Spoleto and just fall in love with it, like I did. When we did Medea, there was never a very large audience. I think even in New York, it was limited to, it was down in the basement of La Mama, and it was dark. So you have this feeling that you're going down into this dark space, and relatively contained, almost cramped space, and dark. And that was part of the, the show. That was part of the effect that they wanted to have with the show, is that you're going to a different space. Here in Spoleto, there's a big theater called the Malisso, and there's a very tiny space underneath the Malisso that it's almost, has a dungeon quality to it. And it was small, and it was about the right size for, what Andrei Serban wanted for Medea. We were always looking for spaces like that. We couldn't always find them. We did, Pierre Cardin had a place in Paris, but it was really too plush for what we were looking for, but that's all he had, so we did it there. And then we did, from Spoleto, in 1972, we went to Baalbek in Lebanon. And that was the Festival of Baalbek. And we did it, Baalbek is a site of, it was a Roman city back in the day. And the ruins are still there. And the ruins are in pretty good shape, especially the Temple of Bacchus, which is where we did Medea back in 1972. And that was pretty exciting to be doing, using the ancient languages in an ancient space. And that was the first time that we had done that. That was nice. It was at night, and there were guards there on the site because, it's a classic site. And the guards were all like, what the hell's going on here? What is it? But it was a very nice venue for the show. The act that followed ours, after we did Medea, Ella Fitzgerald came, and she had about a week there to perform. So I lingered on to see her. The show Medea took, if it was working well on time, 55 minutes. It was just, so people came in, and there was the play just sort of stopped. It ended. There was no curtain call. There was nothing. The actors just left, mumbling things in Greek and Latin on the way, like, but we would leave and disappear. And we would measure the success of the show by how long it took people to realize it was over. So we would, we'd leave the stage, and we'd be back there, and Andrei included, we'd be all there peeking through the curtains and watch people sitting there saying, is that it? Can we leave? Do we applaud? What do we do? And by the time they figured out the show was over and they could go, it was kind of silly to applaud. So we never got any real applause, which was fine. We would measure the success of the show by how little we got. And I think, part of it also was that because nobody really speaks, ancient Greek or Latin anymore. And the whole thing with Liz Swados' music and Andrei's direction, the whole thing was designed to see, an experiment to see if people could get the show, understand what was going on without actually understanding any of the words. And for that, it was a great success. Because we could take it anywhere, because nobody spoke that language. We pulled the audience into our world. And there was not much that they could do or say or vent about that, because it was really about changing, pulling them out of their world and into our world. And I think everybody, no matter what country we were in or no matter what language we spoke, everyone sort of went along with that. The set was basically 2 platforms on either side, a space in the middle, empty, with a chorus set, and the audience would be on either side of that. And that was we did that no matter where we went, whatever space we came upon. That was the structure of it. Well, we did Elektra in Sainte-Chapelle, and it's funny because we did the show there at night. Now, the best time to be there, of course, is during the day, because you had those beautiful stained glass windows with all the light coming through, which we didn't see while we were performing. But during the day, if we were rehearsing or just wandering through, we could see it. It was beautiful, but it was the space itself. Apart from the stained glass windows, the space itself was just beautiful. And we had a very long staircase at one end, and then the chorus sat in the middle near where the audience was. And I think it was a beautiful space, yeah. What was really funny is that in 1971, before I was an actor with La Mama, I was saving my money to go in the summer of '72 to Europe. I was just going to fly there. I was going to hitch all over the place and just spend the summer in Europe. And then all of a sudden, I'm invited to join the company. Not only am I going to see places in Europe, but I'm going to get paid for it too. So yes, it was very exciting to be able to see so many places, and of course to have a reason for being there, for doing, putting together a show that everybody seemed to like. Well, it was very exciting to be, traveling around and to be, doing being part of a very successful show. And I know that Andrei had worked a lot with Peter Brook, and they, I think probably some of his ideas came from that work that they did together. And Liz Swados worked with Peter Brook as well. After Medea, he kind of swept her up and said, we're taking our company, Peter Brook said, we're taking our company to Africa to do some work there. Why don't you come with us? And she said, twist my arm, yeah. Yeah, it was just exciting to be in that atmosphere and to be traveling and meeting people and be coming into contact with people from different cultures. I'm sure that Ellen, invited companies from different parts of the world to La Mama to do shows there, especially I think there was a Japanese group I know that she brought to New York, and I think maybe a Korean group too. And so, yeah, there was a lot of that kind of thing going on, back in the day, and still is, I think.